Welcome back to the Chef JKP podcast. And today I have the absolute pleasure and honor of interviewing a personal friend of mine and a really inspirational person, Martin from 1765 Gemini. Martin, welcome to the podcast.
James, thank you so much. I mean, it's an absolute honor to be here, to be part of this fantastic podcast, and I'm honored and thrilled. Honestly, thank you very much for the invitation.
So we've got a lot to get through. There's a lot to discuss. Now, what I really want to know is about your experience and how you became the CEO and founder of 1765 Gemini and how your love of plates came about. So please go on, tell us.
Well, okay, where do I start? Well, once upon a time, there was this little boy. Okay, maybe that's a bit too far ahead. Basically, I think how that came about was I grew up in Spain and in Africa, and my parents traveled a lot. Also, during our breaks, we would travel to Germany, and we would, to be honest, spend a lot of times in restaurants and wine cellars, and where a lot of food and beverage was being served. I was an only child, so I spent a lot of time with my parents. So I'd tag along whether I liked it or not, basically. And also these countries, they share a common passion for sharing food, families getting together for lunches, for dinners. It's the whole experience, and being hospitable, and that's where I think I probably got it from. And then when I finished my boarding school, I moved to Germany with 18, and I was thinking, what would I feel passionate about? What do I think I could, be good at? To be honest, I didn't know. It was just a wild guess, but my gut feeling kind of told me I think the hospitality sector would be good, because having grown up in different countries, learning the different languages, being in a situation where I always had to go towards people, always being the new kid, and coming into an established community of being in school or in families, I needed to be quite open. So I thought this would probably be the way forward. So I started my apprenticeship in Cologne, in a very small family-run business, and it was a very traditional place where it was all silver-served, guéridon, réchaud, carving, filleting at the table, etc. Just to give you a feeling. And so really the traditional classical approach to hospitality, where every little detail counts. So after having finalized that, I moved into the corporate world of hospitality, should we call it, went to the Crown Plaza in Cologne. And then from there on, I moved to London, to the Savoy, where it was another thing that I wanted to go back to the classical approach of hospitality, where, emotions, service, eye for detail, the whole experience is what makes the show happen. It's just grand when you walk into these hotels, be it the Dorchester or the Connaught, the Claridge's. It's just magic. It has been for me anyway. So getting the position at the Savoy at the time, even though I went back many steps, and many of my bosses and friends were questioning me if I'd kind of lost the plot. I started as an assistant lobby lounge manager in the Savoy, but I thought, I want to be there. I want to get in there, and I'm not going to get in there otherwise, So I took the steps back, but I was able to be part of the story. And that's how I got into the Savoy. And then after just over 2 years, I was approached by Jumeirah and had the interview, and was fortunate enough to be picked for the opening of the Emirates Towers. And did that for 2.5 years, then moved over to the Burj Al Arab as assistant F&B manager, then later to become the F&B manager. So I think with all this time, you obviously soak up a lot of different impressions, a lot of different experiences. You meet a lot of people and a lot of cultures, So I got to the point, and I've always been a person that liked to move his own cheese, if that makes sense, and challenge himself and never become too comfortable. So I said, this is an opportunity for me to maybe move, not away from the hospitality industry, but move maybe parallel to it, and set up my own company doing hotel supplies. And I thought that with my experience, it would be a good service that I can offer not only to sell a plate, but also to understand the product, understand the client, understand the lack of time everybody has in the hospitality industry. Now, we don't have time, right, when we're in hotels. We're rushed, and the last thing you need to worry about is about plates and glassware and cutlery. Let's face it, we're focusing on the guests, guest satisfaction, the whole experience, and making sure that your team is comfortable doing what they are out to do. So I think that's where it all kind of came together. And then setting up my company, you kind of evolve, and you obviously spend more time looking at the different options that are out there. And it's not only plates, it's actually the whole story. It's about bringing, beautiful products together, like chinaware, like glassware, like cutlery, all the accessories, and bringing them together to make it a really beautiful story on the table, basically. And I think that's probably how it kind of developed. But then again, I love beautiful things. I love art. I love lighting. I love furniture. I love good food. I love beverage, even more. So yeah, I think that's how it probably came about. It's a lot of little puzzle pieces that came together to create this one big experience for me.
So specifically now, it must have been amazing for you to sort of go through Europe, especially go to the fairy tale town of London, and as you said, these grand hotels, because the service is absolutely paramount. Gueridon service at the table, this mega classical things. That must have been quite an experience for you. However, what I want to know is, once you started your own business, where did your real love of plateware really start?
Well, I think, if you want to make a difference in business, you need to stand out. You need to do the right thing. You need to find the right products. It's crucial. And you need to understand. In order to do that, you need to understand the product, where it's from, how it's made, the work that goes into it as well, the different steps from just having, the raw material, where it's bought, coordinating all that to have enough, stock of raw material to be able to have enough stock of chinaware. It's just, and that's just the chinaware aspect of it, And you're educating yourself there. I think it's always very important that you never stop. You keep going. There's so much to be learned. I'm learning every day. And that's what my philosophy and my prerogative was, that I just thought it was really interesting, because if you want to sell something, you need to understand the advantages and disadvantages, because you have a responsibility towards your clients as well, right? You want to offer a solution, and you don't want to be serving a problem, right? We have enough of those, all of us, And so it's about, trying to be ahead of the game, bringing a little bit more to the show than just the plate. Also some information, educating people, and it's an interesting field. And like I said, it's not only the plateware. It goes to glassware, for example, going to glass factories or cutlery factories, how that's all done. It's incredible, all the work that goes in there, all the different steps that are required to actually achieve that final product that you actually see on the table. It's incredible, honestly. It's genius, and so much time and effort has gone into it over the years, developing machinery, developing processes and all that. So I think that's where it all kind of generated from. And then, of course, you then move on to kind of creating your own style, your own interests, and you learn more, of course. You start with maybe the more basic, straightforward patterns, but then you go into a completely different realm of glazing opportunities coming from Asia, for example, from Japan. It's just mind-boggling what they're able to do, and it's a work of art, and it's just very inspiring, basically, And especially when you go down to the handmade products as well, where the clay, the different glazes, the combinations of the glazes and the different atmospheric pressures make a difference of how that glaze reacts. So if you have a glaze, for example, let's say in France, and you have the same recipe for that glaze, it will be a different glaze finish if you would make the same product, let's say, in Germany or in Spain, because of the climate, the atmospheric pressure, humidity, etc. So it's very interesting. So it's again, when you're passionate about something, you dig a little deeper, right? Because you want to know a little bit more, and it's always fun too. I think
I 100% agree with you.
The question.
It does, absolutely. Now the thing is, what makes you different is what I also think is fantastic, and what you've done is you've created your own plateware, your own range, and it's called Obsession, which I think is aptly named. I think is really, really fantastic. Now, can you go into a little bit of detail about how you personally went about and decided to design your own range of plates?
Right. Well, I think, again, when you start, getting to know more people, more factories, more possibilities, I, of course, have spent a lot of time, dealing with chefs, building relationships, long-lasting friendships, having gone through a lot of challenging times when we're in hotels and afterwards as well, but not necessarily negatively challenging, but just challenging, and this brings you together. You evolve, and like with everyone, then you start looking around, saying, well, how can I bring myself into this story where I'm not just actually buying something that somebody else is making, but maybe creating something, because from a reward point of view, not the monetary one, but the emotional reward is just fantastic. It's so rewarding to create something or have an idea or even bring different ideas together to make them work together and make them harmonize, basically. And that's so special, and that's what I wanted. I just thought, for me, I wanted to do more than just sell something that somebody else has made, and that there's nothing wrong with that at all, actually. But I just thought, I wanted to kind of create something as well where I felt, this was my idea. This is something that I've created, and that's how it all came about. So you start obviously with what you feel most passionate about, and I love actually it's difficult to kind of prioritize, but I love Asian fusion, or Asian cuisine. I love Spanish or Levantine cuisine as well. It's all smaller portions. It's about sharing. It's about family. It's about being able to try all the different textures and flavors without having to decide for one main course, which I can never do. It goes on like forever, and everybody here on the table gets frustrated because I can't make up my mind. And that's why I like the sharing concept, because I don't have to make up my mind. I can just say, well, you know what? Well, let's just have a little bit of this and a little bit of that, and we can all try, and it's the best of all worlds. So based on that, I was trying to create something what kind of reflects that with Obsession. So we're getting different styles, different finishes from different parts of the world, and different materials as well, that play together as a team and create that story. And they're very versatile, so you can mix and match, and that's what it's all about mixing and matching, creating that that fun and playful aspect on the table, which gives you a limitless choice, basically, of combinations. And that's what I wanted. Of course, it's a process. You cannot, do it all in one go. So you develop and you start with one thing. Of course, you would like to kind of have it all in one go, but it's also a financial question, in all fairness. And also, you need to feed people slowly. If you have too much, it just becomes very overwhelming, and you end up investing a lot, and it's just sitting there. So also, some of the things that I've developed have taken time for people to digest, psychologically, should I say, and visually. So it takes time. It's interesting to see how something that for one seems so clear and so obvious takes time for others to appreciate. And I'm happy that I'm able to kind of identify those things a little bit in advance, and even more excited when then eventually the clients actually buy into it, and they're like, wow, this is so great. So I'm like, yes, it is, it is great, isn't it? And they're like, yeah, I like this. Sorry, I didn't, I never kind of saw it, but now it's kind of, it's growing on me. I'm understanding it now. And of course, that's great. It's not about right or wrong, about having, a that style or being wrong or the other style being right. No, it's about just, feeling comfortable with something different and moving into a different area. And I think that's what I've wanted to do when I wanted to create my obsession. An obsession for the obvious reason, because I dream of plates at night, and it's not right. I know that, but it's very difficult to switch that off. But the best ideas and the best creations actually come like at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning, when the mind is just going out of control,
But that must have been quite a process for you, because, as you said, going from that sort of dream state almost of creating those plates to then jotting them down on paper or finding the right people to make these plates, to then actually seeing the plates and a chef plating them up to then people buying them. That whole journey from A to Z must be quite special for you.
Yeah, yes, it is, because it's you have that idea, then you have the challenges of is it makeable? Can they actually manufacture? It's always easy to have good ideas, right? Somebody's going to do it, right? So talking to the factories and saying, well, listen, I've got this idea. Can we do it? And the initial answer is, no, can't. It's not going to look right. And then I have to convince them to at least give it a try. Just try. If it doesn't work out or it doesn't look right, then at least we tried. At least we can see it. But let's give it a shot. And then more often than not, the factories actually come back and are astounded by the result, and they're really excited about it. So yeah, see, I told you this is actually really cool, right? And look how the glaze is now reacting, and with the other side of the plate and all that, where there's a different glaze and all that. So it's nice. It's like a chemical reaction. It's like trying something new and just trying, because if you do not try, you don't know what might come out, and it might be rubbish. Agreed, but it could be super cool. And if it's super cool, you're onto something, right? And that's how I try to kind of push and develop and see what we can do. Of course, it's not always easy. You have to think about it, and not every new idea is a good idea. So you got to then phase a couple of some of them out, or put them on ice, and then come back to them at a later stage and see whenever they might kind of fit in better, or find another factory that could possibly make them better as well, and the finishing and so forth. So yeah.
Well, look, then what I want to know from a business perspective, now within the UAE, there are, let's be very specific. Within Dubai, right, there are now over 130 5-star hotels, and that's just hotels. Then we go into restaurants. So the last count was something along the lines of 10,000 to 12,000 restaurants just in Dubai. Right. So it's a fiercely competitive market for someone like yourself, who's giving all of these beautiful pieces, glassware, cutlery, to all of these varied different restaurants. Now, then you have the chefs, for example, who love the plates, the food and beverage, the cocktail people who love everything that you do. And then you've got what I would call the bad guy, which is purchasing. Now, we're not going to talk about those guys just yet, but what I would like to know from specifically from your opinion is, what do you think makes your company stand out from your competitors?
It's a good question. It's a difficult question. To be honest, one of the things I've always kind of gone by is to see how I can make it good for me and good for my partners and the end client, basically. So I try to focus on me, as in the royal me, my company and my team, because we need to get our act together. I don't focus so much on what the others are doing, to be honest, because they're all working very, very hard. They're all very, very passionate individuals and companies there that have been around even longer than I have. Some have, and they're all good people. So for me, it was always about trying to better myself and understand what the market requires and what my strengths are and where the weaknesses are or the challenges lie. And of course, I think people buy people. I think that's very, very important. And for me, it's always been trying to find a way to connect with the client with the chef, whoever it is that is spearheading the project. Why? Because it's nice to build relationships. You can learn from each other, and it's a way of really gathering positive energy. When you're communicating with people that are passionate, there's nothing like it. You can learn a lot. You get to know somebody as well that you didn't know before, but at the same time you can understand what they want, because you can take a wild guess. Chances are you're not going to get it right if you do not understand, and I cannot read anybody's mind. I can try my best, but chances are not so good. So how do I do that? By creating something that possibly circumnavigates the in-between people and gets to the client directly, where you can actually showcase your products in a really, really cool place. How do you do that? We have a fantastic showroom on the 28th floor of the I-Rise Tower in Barsha Heights, and people were questioning me, why would I invest so much money in a place like that, where I wasn't going to be able to increase the price of the item, and my answer was, it's not about increasing the price of the item, it's about making people understand what you're about, and the passion that you have, that you're so passionate that you're willing to invest so much money into an experience that is there for the client, basically. And with that, you automatically make people understand that you're for real. Talk is cheap. I can sell you a dream, but if you come into our showroom and you see the eye for detail and the amount of work that's gone in there, and the feeling that you get when you walk around there, you understand that the person, whether you like them or you don't like them, whether you like their product or you don't like that doesn't matter. It's about connecting, and connecting and feeling that person, that team, that company is genuine in what they do. Like I said, there's other companies that are, fantastic too. But we try to kind of do what we feel is right and try to connect with people. I think that's the way forward. And at the same time, we have that creating obsession range. Again, it gives you the opportunity to talk to chefs straight on. They'll give you your feedback, and they're very honest people. So that's very important for me. I don't want people to say yes sir, no sir, 3 bags full, sir. I want an honest opinion, and whenever I do develop the ranges with my team, because it's always a team effort, I have to add, very important. I listen to what the chefs say, be it from a plating point of view, from an operational practicality point of view, from a personal preference point of view too. So that gives us the opportunity to really tap into the people directly, and then we've also developed a store which we can talk about as well. So
because I think, Martin, the difference that I've really noticed is what you said is all about the relationships, specifically the relationships that you build with your clients and the people who have known you over many years. I think, as you said, the 2 stores, which I know and love, the one in I-Rise, as you said, as well as the one that looks like it's a place in the middle of nowhere, industrialized, and then you walk in and it's just the most magical place with these beautiful plates, incredible staff, and just such a warm welcome. And as you said, from yourself coming from an old school sort of hospitality background, you really feel that. And I think that's what makes it really incredible, in all honesty. And also from talking to different chefs, different restaurateurs, they also have the same feedback.
Well, firstly, thank you so much. Honestly, it means so much to me. It is my baby. I'll be honest with you. It was something that I wanted to set up many years already. We've actually gone into the 4th year now. But it was a dream that I had, and it kind of started from understanding that we're moving into a different time. We'll move away from this project-related business, which can be quite cold and faceless, which, like I said, it doesn't make me a very happy person when I can't bring myself in, I cannot communicate. There's something missing. So I thought, how can I create something that kind of circumnavigates this barren emotional area, yeah. So I eventually slowly started putting a couple of shelves together and just putting them against the wall and saying, oh, I wonder how it would look like if we've got some extra stock there. Let's put that on the shelf, and what does it look like? You know, like, oh, okay. And then we had the occasional people coming in, like, what's that? Yeah, we have some stock. Oh, okay. So that's how it kind of started. And then I realized that a lot of products, like handmade products or a little more pricier products with longer lead times, were going to be required in this market, but there would be a challenge because you don't need so many of these items, right? But then what happens is that the freight charges become very, very high in relationship to the actual value of the product, or the products. So it kind of, it's not very encouraging when you look at the price that you have to pay for it. It's okay when you're in Europe or other parts of the world where you can actually go to the factory directly, pick it up, put them in the back of your boot, and Bob's your uncle, basically. Here you need to consider freight and import taxes and all that, and then it makes it less attractive. So I thought, God, how can I get these items over here? How can I create a place that's so cool but helps the chefs get the products that they want without having second choicing, basically? What do you need to do for that? You need to put your hands in your pocket. You need to order stock, put it on the shelves, and hope that somebody's going to eventually require those items that you thought would be great to have, right? So it's a risky business, especially when you don't have a story yet, right? So to have a story, you have to have a lot of money, and you need to invest a lot at the same time, in theory, to create, an experience when somebody comes in. So you need to have, you're able to have, the Asian fusion options there, the South American fusion. I'm saying fusion because I don't want to go into each and every part, but you know what I mean, right? Be the gastro pub, which is obviously really up to its game. It's not just the pub grub, but it's really cool places that offer really great food, and the presentations are spectacular too. The casual fine dining, the fine dining, and of course you need to cover the different glassware options, chinaware options, and cutlery options, and then all the accessories. So you've got a one-shot opportunity, because if somebody comes in and the story isn't good, he's not going to come back. Or if you write a book and it's only halfway written, you ask the person, what did you think? He's not going to tell you it was a great story because there's no ending to it, right? So you need to kind of build it up simultaneously and horizontally, so rise horizontally all the way through to be able, if the book is a thin book, but it's a good story, it's still a good story. So you don't necessarily need to have a lot of things, but you need to have enough to excite people. And then you can build on that, build that emotion, build the energy level, and then eventually you'll get to where you want to be. It's a long road, and sometimes you question yourself, of course, and especially when times are tough, when you're actually investing in products that have not been sold. Because I always say money is like a pillow. The less you have, the harder the pillow becomes that you sleep on. And I've had like rock solid pillows the last years, I can tell you. I'm
sure.
So, but with the passion and with the belief that I think that we can create something super, super cool that can excite a lot of people, not just people like you and me that are related to the hospitality, but, for home as well, giving them access to buy for home. They come to your restaurant, for example, and they say, wow, this is fantastic. I love the food. And look at the presentation. God, wouldn't it be nice to have a couple of these at home? And they're able to actually come to our store and buy these products and take them home. So that's what I wanted to do. And I wanted to create a destination where it's not only about tabletop, but you also are able to buy art. We have art from Hong Kong. It's pop art with kind of quite funny things in there, like tongue-in-cheek kind of thing, I would say. And then I have an artist that I came across when I was in Barcelona at the port with the family, and the kids were driving everybody nuts, and me too, and my wife, and I just kind of moved away and went to this artist, and he was painting there, and and it was like a pop arty kind of art direction. And I spoke to him and I said, listen, I love your stuff. Would it be possible maybe buy some of your paintings and we can display them in our store? So that's what I was trying to, make people come and experience something. If they come in and they'll have a coffee or a cup of tea or a glass of water and they just look around and go out and are happy, then that makes me happy. I don't need anybody to come in there necessarily and buy. If they do, great, of course. But it's really just to kind of get a destination, somebody that goes in and says, wow, this is so cool. Creating positive energy, that's what it's all about. And connecting to people, because people that come there, they're all excited and they're really happy. And that's what I think we all need, especially in times like these, where you can deal with people that you're contributing in a positive way, and also like that it gives you the opportunity to attract people from different parts of the region, from Saudi, from Kuwait, from Bahrain, and they come to see us. They travel to us and they see us, and they're really excited. And you can imagine how proud the team is and how grateful we are when that happens.
That's
it's
fantastic.
a great experience.
And it is a destination. Everybody who talks about the place, it is a destination, and they always love to go there. You enter happy and you come out super, super happy. So that you've definitely done that. Now, the other thing that I think would be quite fantastic from your perspective, I know that you talk to a lot of restaurateurs. I know that you talk to a lot of chefs and a lot of expert people within this field. Now, apart from the obvious pandemic, apart from that, in your opinion, what do you think the biggest challenge is within the restaurant industry, specifically within the UAE?
That's a good question, James, and it's not easy to answer. And because I'm not the owner of a restaurant, my opinion might not be accurate, but I think, and from what I hear, obviously, biggest challenge is obviously in the operating costs, right? Be it the rent, the material that you need to serve your clients in every aspect, and that to break even. I think that's probably the biggest challenge that most restaurateurs are facing. In addition to that, it's quite a volatile market, and there's a lot of people come and people go, and to manage to get a strong client base, I think, is probably the biggest challenge, because people are like social butterflies, and that's not meant in a bad way. That's what people do in Dubai. They like to go here and they like to go there, and there's so many different great, cool places to go to. It makes it difficult even for the most loyal guests to be going to the same place on a regular basis, right? So I think that's probably another one as well. The fact that there's so many exciting and restaurants that are already available, but also constantly coming. There's new restaurants. I wouldn't say on a daily basis, but there's a lot of them coming, right? So that makes it very, very difficult, I think, for a restaurateur, for an owner of a restaurant, to go up against that. I would say that's probably one of the biggest challenges. And also, I think there is a massive amount of restaurants already for a destination that doesn't actually have so many inhabitants, actually. If you see the amount of restaurants that are out there and the percentage of those that actually would go to these restaurants, that's quite a lot of restaurants for the amount of people that would potentially go to these. So that, I think, is also another challenge. So that's why we need a lot of tourists as well. We're very dependent on them coming and experiencing this wonderful country, and it is, and that's what we're hoping, obviously, that this will come back. But yes, I think it's not an easy business to be in, and you got to tick all the boxes and have all your ducks in a row to be successful here. And for those that are successful, I can only tip my hat to them there.
Absolutely.
Respect.
Couldn't agree more. Now, moving forward, this podcast is specifically for foodies, memories, and all of those sorts of things that spark joy. And I want you to go back into your mind. I'm going to give you 2 specific questions. Number 1, I want you to this is going to be a tricky one. I want you to name me your favorite ever food memory.
Mm-hmm.
So that's number 1, your favorite ever food memory. And number 2, even harder perhaps, would be your meal of a lifetime that you most remember and why.
Ooh, okay. Meal of a lifetime. What does it have to be? Okay. All right. I think I would say the one that's really been very, very special for me and for my wife was the experience we had in Barcelona. I mean, I grew up in Barcelona, so my heart is there. I'll be fair. I love the city. I love the energy. I love the creativity and the diversity. It's just phenomenal. So yeah, we were fortunate enough to go to a restaurant called Disfrutar. It's a restaurant that's run by 3 chefs that used to work for a bully. And yeah, we got a table, and we couldn't believe it. And we got in there, and I must say that was spectacular. From everything, from the way you were welcomed, to the interior design, to the way the team reacted with each other, the communication that was seemingly non-existent, but worked, if that makes sense. I mean, everybody knew exactly who was doing what and why and when and what for and why not, basically, if that makes sense. It was like military precision, but it was just magic. You know, it was an open kitchen. You could see, chef was at the pass. The rest of the team were quiet, working efficiently, fast, and so precisely as well. You know, the service was just spot on. They knew not only about, obviously, how to deal with guests. I mean, they were really, really hospitable, but they knew everything about the way the dish was prepared, where it came from, little anecdotes that would kind of make it even more exciting than it already was. And the whole experience, it was a 10 out of 10, I would say. And just the team spirit and how everything kind of worked together as one. I mean, we've been around in many restaurants and many hotels and worked in them. And I think we've had great teams. That was really very, very special, I must say. And then, of course, the food was just out of this world, 25-course set menu with drinks to go with it, So you can imagine. I can remember the first 10, I think. The others were a little blurred.
Incredible.
No, it was fantastic. No, honestly, it was just magic. And also getting the balance right between the beverages and marrying those together without you going out, on a wheelchair, it was just not too much, not too little. Everything was just perfect. And that was, I would say, Disfrutar in Barcelona, hats off, great.
Amazing. So that would be your favorite food memory and meal of a lifetime, right?
I would say yes. If I go to another place, somebody would, tell me, well, this is better. It was for me, it was really, really great, yeah.
Now, having worked within hospitality, what I would also like to know, because you must have seen a few things, what would you... Yeah, and you need to keep it clean, and you don't need to name names.
Okay.
Just in case.
Okay, James.
Who would you say? What would be your funniest either kitchen or restaurant incident that you've ever seen or has happened to you?
Well, I think that probably it was a little story that I experienced when I was working on the Burj Al Arab. Magical time. I want to add this this opportunity. It was a great time, and the team that was there at the Burj Al Arab at the time, from 2002 to 2006. That's when I was there. Was a very special, very dedicated, very passionate team, very hardworking, and a lot of fun to be with. So we had a lot of every day was a make it or break it, to be honest, So there's no room for slip-ups whatsoever, and the pressure was second to none. I'll say that. So we had very high-profile guests that would come in and out of the building on a regular basis. And on this one occasion, a regular client of ours was coming with a delegation, and we usually had a very short time to prepare everything, but we were prepared. We had a team, basically, that was ready for that. So they would get a phone call, and we knew that delegation would be coming. We'd drop everything, and off we went. So the kitchen knew exactly what to prepare. Service knew exactly what to prepare. The florist knew exactly what to do. There wasn't any umming and ahhing or hold on, what's next kind of thing. It was like really precision work, and we had the maximum 25, 30 minutes to put it all together. So, and we're looking at a table of 24 packs. Yeah. So the concept was that you have all the meze on the table, the sharing meze. Everyone had individual mezes, and we had starters. We had soups, I think 8 or 10 soups, massive selection. And we had about 30 to 35 main courses on offer to really cater to all the different food directions and flavors and textures from all around the world for our international group of guests that the main gentleman was hosting. So we had all that. Now we were ready. They all came in, and we're action, bam, 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 juices, this, that, pour the water, and get the soups out there, action. And then the main gentleman said, no, I won't have soup today. I'm like, okay, no soup here, please, move on. So everybody got their soups. Then we moved over, and then we came to the main course, and by that time everybody had eaten. One gentleman didn't, and this is a very high-profile person, So then I went up to him, and when we went to serve him main course, and he said, no, Martin, I just want to have a hard-boiled egg. And I'm like, sorry? Yeah, just a hard-boiled egg, please. So I'm like, okay, yes, immediately. So we all kind of scrambled in, no pun intended, scrambled into the kitchen. I'm like, chef, we need a hard-boiled egg. And chef was, yeah, right, I'm not going to say it, but what are you talking about? I'm like, honestly, we need a hard-boiled egg. Now, every minute, every second goes on like forever when you're waiting, right? And a hard-boiled egg is what, 4 minutes, 5 minutes?
At least.
Yeah. So we're all waiting there, waiting for this egg to come out to be served. And we found out afterwards that the gentleman was actually on a boiled egg diet, and we were not informed before. And obviously, it was panic. But I think afterwards we all chuckled about it, and we thought, geez, wow, that was an interesting one. Didn't see that one coming. But I must say that was quite funny, because we had so much food, as we always did, and it wasn't required for him, and all he wanted was an egg, and we didn't have it ready. Yeah. But that was funny. I think that was one that we all went away and like, God, what happened there? So that was fun. Wow. I think that was probably because of all the pressure, and it kind of made it quite comical.
Yeah.
When everything was like regimental, militarily ready, but the simplest of things we didn't have. We had caviar, we had, you name it, everything you can think of. So that was probably
amazing.
Probably an experience I'll never forget.
Amazing. Love that. So, once again, moving from all of your experience, eaten all around the world, dealing with different owners, experiencing hospitality at its very, very best. Who would you say were your top 3 either culinary giants or business giants that you really respect, and why?
Well, you're coming out with good questions here, I tell you. Not easy ones. I think, to really pick out 1, 2, or 3 culinary giants would be difficult, I'd say. Of course, living in Spain, you've got the likes of, the Rocker Brothers, which are in Girona, which are very close to where actually we live, and my mum lives there as well. And then you've got, Quique da Costa or Adrià, for example, or, Martin Berasategui, great name, by the way. These guys are, magic, and what they have done for the Spanish cuisine, and not only for the Spanish Catalan. I have to add Catalan; it's very important, by the way, because they are Catalans as well. What they've contributed to the world culinarily is the spectacular. But to mention only them and disregarding the others would not make sense, and I don't even want to go down that road because it would be silly. But of course, you've got the old classics, But I think all in all, I think what these chefs have done is they've brought people together. They have created a passion, a communal passion, and I think they've probably also saved a lot of people's destinies. People that were maybe heading in the wrong direction and were given the opportunity to work in a kitchen and give them a meaning, and basically infecting them with the passion for the hospitality, but for food and for what you're able to do with it. And it's basically the sky is the limit. Your creativity is what will be your boundary, basically. And I think to have done that and have opened the doors to so many generations and brought them into the boat and shared their passion and their skills, I think that's probably the magic. And of course, we're fortunate enough to be able to try and taste all their fantastic creations, But looking at it from a more Dubai or UAE point of view, and we are here, I'd like to kind of point out the magic and the local heroes, actually, what they have done. I mean, you're one of them, I would say like homegrown. You've been obviously in many parts of the world, but you've been here now, you've established yourself. There are other chefs that have done really, really, really well, have created a name, and they've come from the shoots, I would say, grassroots, and that's what I would like to, show my respect to, because they are the new movement here in the UAE, in Dubai, and they're working together for the same cause, creating something really, really spectacular. And it's not easy, in a world where it's dog eat dog, with a lot of competition. What these chefs have actually done to persevere and to, stamp their authority in terms of their style into this market, I think is really, really great. And I would like to, point that out and say those are probably the local heroes I want to focus on. To
Love
be honest,
Love that.
My thought anyway.
No, it's very good. It's absolutely true. The Spanish and the guys, what they have done, to create this incredible global food movement, and then the chefs that have come from them to go all over the world, I think is absolutely magic. Incredible.
It's a great story, isn't it?
Absolutely. Now, if somebody, Martin, is really, like yourself, super passionate about plates and glassware and cutlery, what would be your biggest piece of advice if they would like to follow in your footsteps?
I would say, firstly, in my footsteps of creating a company that does hotel supplies.
Well, specifically,
don't do it. There's enough of us already. Please don't. Sorry.
But no. If they want to, for example, be able to create their own plates, or if they wanted, if they're passionate about all things earthenware or glasses, what would you advise them to start, or where would you advise them to start?
Well, I think with everything, you need to have the idea first. Yeah, a good idea that kind of makes you kind of unique and stand out from the rest. Be really convinced that this is what you want to do, because you've got to do it really well, and it's going to be a lot of work. It's not a 9-to-5 job, basically. It's 7 days a week and working on weekends too, basically. So it's a lot of work. You need to have nerves of steel, and you need to have a good team around you. You need to have a team, not only a team that works with you, but team being family, being friends that can catch you when things are not going your way, basically. You know, I think it's all about the team. It's really having that psychological and emotional backup, because you're always on the dance floor, right? You've got to sell. You always have to be the guy that smiles and is funny and has a great idea and has a solution, but that's not who can do that all the time, right? So you need something to help you, and that's where you get the security from. You need to have really good partners that work with you. You know, the factories that you can rely on, because your neck is on the line, right? You need to have really good friends and really good team members, and of course, you know, the financial aspect is a given. You need to know how fast you want to grow. If it's a kind of organic growth, then of course the initial investment will be lower. But if you want to like hit the ground immediately, then of course it will be more, right? But I would say I think it's the structure that you build around you, that kind of safeguards you. I think that's probably very, very important. And like I said, all the other things are important because the product needs to be right, the connections need to be right. You need to be a person that's willing to actually go towards people as well. If you're a very introvert, it's going to make it more difficult, to get to people. I would say, you know, because you need to feel comfortable doing what you're doing as well, right? So if you've got to kind of jump out of the water when you're actually at home in water, then don't do it.
So then, finally, if people want to see what you're doing on social media, for example, or they want to get hold of you via email, what is the website?
Well, our website, we've got our company website, which is 1765gemini.com, where there's an overview of the brands we work with, and there's some images of our showroom, etc. And then we've got the store, where you can follow us on Instagram, which is 1765 the store. We're located in Alcuz, and it's exit 43. Not a difficult place to find, to be honest. And if you go onto the website, you can actually find the directions on there as well. And then we've got Obsession, which comes under the brand Studio 1765. So we've created that special brand, a separate brand from 1765 Gemini, which is our own brand, where it's an umbrella, and under that umbrella comes Obsession, our Chinaware range. And we have also developed and designed a champagne bucket called Rocket, which is a very, very cool design, very versatile and quite out there. But not only is it that, but it's also very practical when it comes to the operational point of view, and considers everything that needs to be considered when you are working in a high turnover environment, basically. But it's cool, and that's I think if people have a look at that, I think they might like it as well. And so that's basically, and my email address, martin@1765gemini.com. So I'm always happy to receive any emails and help wherever I can.
Well, amazing. I'm going to just recap on everything we've just discussed. So going from your experience in the early days, then going to London and seeing you being in the Savoy, what an incredible hotel. Then for your love of plateware, design is absolutely fantastic. What sets you apart from your competitors, which is all about the human touch, which is needed now more than ever, I believe. Then the challenges that are facing the UAE restaurants, and I completely agree with what you're saying. Overcapacity, and then new places popping up left, right, and center every 3 seconds by the looks of it. Your meal of a lifetime. I'm actually quite jealous because I heard the place is incredible.
We have to go there together.
I'd love to go. I'd love to go. So yeah, that definitely sounds fantastic. The boiled egg, that will stay with me forever. I think it's a very funny story.
I'm sorry about that.
Then again, the Spanish culinary giants, we cannot ignore them. They've been there, and they're there for a reason. And everything that they've worked with and done from the 80s right up until now is still very, very relevant. So I completely agree with you on that. The advice is fantastic. On how people can get hold of you is great, and all of the Instagram handles, and we'll make sure to have all of those on the show notes. So, Martin, on behalf of the Chef JKP podcast, I would really like to say a huge thank you for coming in and spending the time with us today and giving us some really amazing insights and advice. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I have to thank you. It's been great here. Thank you for inviting me, and it's been an absolute pleasure.